Using Monet's style and techniques for inspiration, let's make a pond picture of our own using chalk pastels. First, let's go over all the materials that we will have. In a tube, we are going to have some paper. In order to get that paper out, you need to make the paper smaller than it already is. So find a corner and pull on it gently. It should come out nice and easy. The paper will try to curl up. There's two ways to deal with this. One way is to take some books and place them on top of the paper for a period of time. That should flatten out the paper. Here's a quicker way to do this. Take your tube and place your paper on the outside so that it curls the opposite direction of the tube. Then gently try to wrap that piece of paper around the tube. Now for the star material of this Moxie Box kit, the chalk. Look at how beautiful this chalk is. Oh, so many different beautiful colors. Then we're going to have a wet wipe. We'll be using these later for creating our art. And we will also have the brown paper that comes with most of our Moxie Box kits. Place this piece of paper in front of you to protect your workspace from all the chalk that we will be using. In the Moxie manual, you will see lots of tips of how to create. You'll have plenty of time to practice before we start on our final artwork. But when you're ready to start on your final artwork, here's how it goes. You're going to start by breaking a piece of chalk in half. That is going to allow you to use it a little bit easier. Then use the techniques that you practiced. Go ahead and make 3, 4, or maybe even 5 lily pads on your piece of paper with brown chalk. Now we're going to put the water in our artwork. We're going to use a blue chalk pastel on its side, and we're going to fill the top, the sides, the bottom, and all around all of those ovals that we've created. Now we're going to use our wet wipe. Take a look. There's a little notch in these wet wipes, and if you pull right at that notch and pull both directions, you should be able to get that open pretty easily. Now, take that wet wipe, open it up, and we're going to use this to smear on top of the chalk pastel. What that's going to do is allow it to actually grip onto the paper better and stay put. If we look closely at Monet's work, we notice that he uses a lot of different colors in all aspects of his painting. So his green lily pads, he might start with brown, add some pink, and then move on to green. If you're starting to collect a lot of chalk dust, just take your piece of paper and tap it off, either on your scrap paper that we've laid out or over a garbage. Do not blow on this and send it into the air. Take a minute to look at the Moxie manual and really examine Monet's lilies. We're going to make some lilies on our lily pad. We're going to start with a lighter color like yellow. Then we'll move on to a second color, maybe pink. Add your lilies on all the lily pads except for one. We want to keep one available for the frog that we'll be drawing. With a charcoal pencil that comes in your Moxie kit, go ahead and gently, lightly draw the lines for your frog. This will allow you to kind of see where your frog needs to be and then fill in with color so that it looks like the frog you were hoping for. Now that I have my base colors down, I'm going to go in with some additional colors to really bring out some of those details. Now, sometimes when you're adding details, it's hard to keep your hand up when you're trying to add the chalk. So here's a suggestion for you. You can take a piece of paper and lay it underneath where your hand lays onto your paper. This protects it just a little bit so that the chalk does not smudge while you're drawing. I'll use the chalk pastel once again to really bring out some of the details. That black really helps out. Now we're going to fill out the space around our frog. If you look at Monet's artwork, you will notice that oftentimes he shows vines in the foreground. We're drawing some yellow lines from the top of our paper on down. These are going to be vines that will be covered with leaves. Once we have our vines, start adding some leaves. If the leaves are not bright and bold enough, add additional colors. Remember, Monet likes to use abstract colors. It doesn't have to be green leaves. You can use other colors in addition. Now that I've made my vines really stand out, I'm noticing that some of my lilies need a little extra pizzazz. So I'll go in, find a brighter pink that I can just add on top to make sure that it's nice and bold. I'll also take my chalk pastel pencil and I'm going to go underneath some of those lilies and lily pads. That will help us see it much better as well. This looks amazing and we can consider ourselves done. But if we want to go one step further, we can start adding something called reflection. Oftentimes, when you look at water, you can see ripples and reflection from the colors up above. Let's get started by adding some ripples in the water. I'm adding some cool colors like purples and blues to add some waves in the water. Once this portion is done, I'm going to go ahead and switch my colors to what is up above on the water. So, for example, in the lilies, we have a little bit of pink. So down below, I'm going to place into the ripples a little bit of pink. I don't make it as strong or as bright as we see in the lily itself. This is a reflection, so we're just going to see little bits of color. Don't forget the frog. Add reflection colors underneath your frog as well. One final tap to get rid of the extra chalk, and we are ready to start cleaning up. You can take your scrap piece of paper and your wet wipe, place it inside the paper that was protecting our workspace, fold it all up so that the chalk stays inside, and place that into the recycling or garbage. You may also take your charcoal pencil and place it inside the chalk box and make sure that the cover is on nice and tight before putting it back into the Moxie box. I know you're going to be proud to show your friends and family the amazing artwork you created, inspired by Monet.